Okay, here we are back again in lunch cookery. So we're going to get into today something I think everybody pretty much enjoys, unless you're lactose intolerant, mac and cheese. All right, I'm going to show you a simple version of mac and cheese. Well, it's simple to me. Um, I do quite often make mac and cheese for my business and my food truck and my catering. So this is something that I've worked on and developed for a pretty long time. I think I got it down pretty pat. All right, we're gonna use, let's go through the ingredients real quick. Use whatever kind of pasta you have. Rotini is something popular that I like to use. This is just some Italian pasta that I happen to have in-house or in my house that I'm just gonna go ahead and use for this. All right, some whole milk you're definitely going to need, and I like to finish it with a little bit of heavy cream to add a little bit more silkiness to it. All right, we're going to use 4 different kinds of cheeses here, or actually 5 technically. This is the cheddar jack blend. The cheddar is mild here. All right, and then I like to use 2 different kinds of sharp cheese. I'm going to use sharp, Cooper sharp, which is like an American sharp cheese. I'm also going to use extra sharp cheddar. All right, the sharp cheddar and the sharp Cooper is really what's going to develop the flavor here. If you just use mild cheddar cheese, I promise you it's going to be pretty flat, if you will, right? You're going to have to wake it up some way. The one way we can wake it up is by actually incorporating sharp cheese. It's not going to taste overly bitter or overly sharp. It's actually going to just enhance the flavor. And then we're going to use some Pecorino Romano cheese or Parmesan if you have it, some salt and pepper. And then we're going to talk about something today, which I believe we've already discussed in a previous recipe, which is a roux. All right, equal parts fat and flour. In this case, it's butter. All right, so fat and flour is our roux. That's going to be a thickening agent. Then we're going to use our roux to actually thicken up our liquid, which is our milk in this case. And when you put those things two together, milk thickened with a roux, it's actually known as a bechamel sauce. Okay, so essentially we're making a bechamel sauce and then we're cheesing it all up and throw in your pasta, and we're gonna have a delicious and wonderful mac and cheese. All right, let me get to it and we will be back. Starting here now, this is my roux, right? All I need is about 4 tablespoons of butter, or a quarter cup. And I'm going to also use the same amount. So if I use 4 tablespoons of butter, I want about approximately 4 tablespoons of flour. All right, so go ahead and melt your fat first. Add your flour. This right now looks to be about half a cup, so I'm gonna have about half of this. Get my quarter cup roughly. And mix those two together, and it's gonna form like a paste, all right, if you will. I'm gonna switch to a rubber spatula, or wooden spoon rather. Okay, this should work. So it's gonna form like a beige or blonde paste. Okay, my water is at a rolling boil now, so I'm ready for my pasta. Always lots of water in your pasta. Nothing's worse than having not enough water for the pasta. Okay. See how it floats to the top right away. I'm just gonna let that get soft. Now, I'm gonna cook this roux out a little bit because I want that raw flour taste to kind of come out. All right, I'm not necessarily looking for color. I'm not trying to make a dark roux. I'm not trying to make a brown roux or any of that. I'm just trying to cook it out ever so slightly. Okay. Once I add milk to this, it's then going to become a bechamel sauce, which is one of the 5 mother sauces. Bechamel, everyone pronounces it differently. All right, so now let's go ahead and add our milk, about half at a time. All right. Always good to have your mise en place ready to go, which I don't. I'm going to go ahead and use a silicone whisk because I actually do not wish to scratch up my brand new pot. All right, keep adding the milk. I'm adding a little bit at a time because I'm trying to work out these lumps. I don't want my bechamel sauce to be all lumpy. So if I just add a little bit of liquid at a time. Some people find it important to boil the milk first. I personally don't. I think if you do it exactly how I'm doing it here, you do not necessarily need to boil the milk and make another mess of a pot and all that. See how thick it's getting? It's like a gravy consistency, and we did this exact same thing when we made our biscuits and gravy. We made a bechamel sauce for that as well. All right, probably not school appropriate, but I usually, again, for my catering business and for the food truck, I usually add beer to this. And if I were gonna do that, I would do that before the milk. Add some beer, let it cook into the roux, add some milk, and actually add some more beer at the very, very end. All right, I'm gonna add another cup of milk. So that's 3 cups of milk total. I'm probably gonna go with 1 cup of heavy cream as well. Let it all come to a boil. I'm gonna actually wait and let this bechamel come to a boil first. Now's a good time to add some salt and pepper and a little tiny pinch of nutmeg. Would be a more traditional for a bechamel sauce. Okay, some salt, a few shakes of pepper. Get that nutmeg in there. Also, I should note, I'm using mostly cheese that I grated myself. You probably noticed that, and you might be wondering why. Why didn't he just use the pre-shredded stuff? Sometimes it's cheaper and obviously easier. Save yourself that step. Well, the reason being is that shredded cheese is actually coated in a starch, either a potato starch of some sort or something to keep it from coagulating and sticking together. All right, so if you use that the starchy stuff, sometimes it doesn't melt as well as it would melt if you just grated it yourself. All right, my pasta is pretty much at the al dente stage, which is slightly undercooked. Okay, slightly undercooked pasta, and the reason I do that is because it's cooked. It's going to cook again. when it gets into the cheese sauce. You see it's starting to get thick now. It might be a little difficult to see because of my white pot here, but I like the white pot because you can see searing and you can see the roux better, you can see all that stuff. So for a bechamel sauce, this pot isn't great to see, but for everything else it pretty much is. All right, bechamel sauce is now complete. You see I got some bubbles there starting to boil. Now it's time to go ahead and start adding. Let's go with our sharp cheeses first. And this is going to be a little chef trick of mine. You're probably going to be like, what the heck, chef? There's no way we have that at home. But I'm going to add some sodium citrate. And sodium citrate is known to help cheeses melt. Okay? It helps your cheese sauce stay in that melty state that you want it to be in. All right, so add a little sodium citrate if you have it. If not, don't worry about it. Alexa, stop. I'm gonna add in all of my cheddar jack cheese here. I know. Hey, we're making mac and cheese. It better be cheesy, right? And now that sodium citrate is actually going to help that shredded cheese, that pre-shredded that I just added. It's going to help it melt. And let's go with about half a cup, maybe, of, probably a little less than that, of Parmesan. Okay, and then lastly, but not least, let's add in some heavy cream. I add the heavy cream at the end because honestly there's a good amount of fat in here, and all the cheeses and everything. So I don't really want to boil my heavy cream unless I'm trying to reduce it. Just add it in towards the end. It helps cool down the whole product, as well as, you know, you still get all that creaminess that we're looking for. All right, let's give it a taste. Now's the time where you want to adjust your seasoning. And just like everything else, you need to taste, right? Wow, that's good. That is absolutely delicious. What I am going to do to kind of get some more balance is, as soon as I find it, I'm not going to waste your time. As soon as I can find it, I'm going to add a little pinch of cayenne. Not black pepper, cayenne pepper, because I want to wake it up a little bit, and I want to balance all that umami kind of flavor I got going on. Add a little spice. All right, there's two ways to wake up your food, either with acid or sometimes with spice. In this case, acid isn't a good choice, but spice is. All right, finally, let's finish this up. I'm gonna add in my pasta. Okay, I'm gonna let this just drink all this cheese sauce up. Okay, you let that cook for a little bit, and we will be back.